supporting your local news, Airpark Canterbury, Logistics Drive and Parking Island off Rustley Road.
What I'm attempting to do in the exhibition is try and challenge the idea of how we currently consume music, because I feel like we're missing out on some stuff that we used to have, but also trying to achieve that whilst acknowledging like things have changed and we are where we are, but still achieve some of the things that I think we used to achieve in the whole artist and consumer or listener relationship, achieve those things in the context of like the modern era, because we are where we are. But sorry.
Are you suggesting you're a bit of a nostalgia man?
I am, but I'm always like cautious. I don't want to sound like, I don't want to come across older than I am, or be the person that's always saying back in my day, because I think there's like limited value in that, and you have to embrace where we are, but then also be mindful of like what was good about how things were, and if we are missing things in the way we do things today, then trying to find a way to like rectify those things, I think is valuable.
I agree, because your exhibition explores the shift from physical music consumption to the digital age. What inspired you and John to take on this theme?
John is my director of photography. He basically shoots almost, like 95% of anything visually I've ever done. He's amazing, and so he's an amazing storyteller. I like to think of myself as an okay storyteller. And the reason why we did this is I've got a song coming out, basically a really important song that comes out in April, and I wanted to find a different way in today's society to communicate that song, because the subject matter, it is so important to me, and I think important to people generally speaking. I didn't want that to get missed, and because music's so fast paced now, and everything is short form, and so like very, very seldom do you ever get people to slow down and truly connect with what a song is actually about. And so, I want to provide people with that opportunity, and then at the same time kind of just highlight like, hey, do we all realize like where we are at now, and how we are missing out on some of those connective tissue elements of like the music industry and the way we distribute music and the way people consume it.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I was having a funny conversation the other day with a friend, and laughing about how fascinating and how amazing it was working at a radio station 15 years ago and being able to burn a CD and going down to the warehouse to buy, the best top quality CDs you could get that spun the fastest to make the clarity, and it was so exciting burning a CD. And then I recall, I don't know how long ago it was now, when somebody suggested to me, you don't need CDs anymore, you can just stream them. And I thought, what? But streaming them and not owning them, what a silly concept. I kind of remember those days and that transition. It's been so fast. In fact, I want to ask you this question. Can you remember buying your first cassette tape?
I'm not old enough to remember my first cassette tape, but
you're making me.
So I apologize.
Oh, shame.
But I remember.
What about your first CD?
Yeah, my first CD. Was an Eminem CD, and I remember the smell in the CD store. I remember the lighting. It was in Reading Cinemas in Courtney Place in Wellington, and I remember the guy selling my dad the CD. He was advising him like, "Are you sure you want to buy this for your young, impressionable son?" Because the content was like extremely explicit. The artwork was very explicit. But I had a pretty unsheltered upbringing, and no regrets. I got my hands on the CD, and like it influenced a lot of what I do today. And I will I'll never forget that moment. And just on that note, it's like how we're discussing the tangible parts of music and how it means more when it is tangible. And I think you can just ask yourself, like, what means more to you? Like someone writing you a letter or someone sending you a text? And like, why is that significant? Why? And I think it is just the components of holding something and there being a physical presence to something that you're consuming makes it mean more immediately, more so than just, you know, a flippant text or something that feels like more of an afterthought and less tangible.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Tell me about the actual exhibition, but let's not give too much away. I want people to actually go to it. What can they expect to experience?
My biggest hope is just that people are given the appropriate time and space to connect with a song in a way that I would hope people are given that opportunity. And I don't think that streaming allows for that, if that makes sense. I think streaming actually distorts and takes away from that opportunity. And so the exhibition is important to me because I believe, and I'm hoping that it achieves this, is that it'll give people the time and the space to actually think, slow down, you know, ponder and allow it to, you know, I don't want to define what that is for each individual person because that's so subjective. And I think that's the beauty of this, is that it can mean one thing for someone and someone can take this thing away from, and like art has always been that way and will be that way. And so I don't want to define it too much for each individual, but I think just giving people the opportunity to be like, this is truly what it is. And hopefully people can connect with it at its core and take something away from it. Whatever that may be is different for every person.
As a musician, how has your own relationship with music changed in the digital age?
Gosh, yeah. I mean, a lot of this was conceptualized because I felt like I was falling victim before anything, like I'm a fan of music and I love consuming music and being impacted by music. And I think that is a driver still and should be a driver. Like you should always be a fan of what you're participating in first. And I think that is the order of events. Like that kind of authorizes you to participate in the game, is that you are a fan of the game. And I found myself like my connection to people that were making music was being eroded away. And I was kind of in a way becoming numb because I just felt like it was too fast. There was too much information. It was too hard to keep up. And if I was trying to keep up with everything, then the rest of my actual life was kind of paying the price. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't have everything. You can't be aware and across the board on everything. I mean, you would know this in your job more than everything. It's just like it's just so rapid nowadays. It was really watering down my genuine, you know, because I started thinking, I was like, man, when was the last time I listened to an album cover to cover? When was the last time that I really was like impacted by a piece of work that someone had put out? And I felt uncomfortable with the fact that I couldn't provide an answer to that question that was within, 5 or 10 years. I was just like, damn, I'm falling away from this. And then that kind of turned into like, well, how do I, in my own small way, play a role in the solution? And I think I'm hoping that this exhibition just serves that purpose in some way.
You've made me think about the process when I was a kid. And it was quite a special process about going to a CD store, sifting through CDs. There used to be a CD store in Riccarton Mall, and being so excited when you would finally find the album that you wanted, or even that sense of disappointment because it had been sold out because it was so popular, or that sense of being able to put, I don't know if I'm going down a different road here, but that sense of, there was always a great sense of getting a car that had a CD rack, under the passenger seat and being able to put 5 CDs and wow, and then being able to change your music. And there was something about that process that felt tangible, that felt raw, it felt real. And I guess, I don't know now what you're saying, I sort of agree, everything's so easily accessible. It does take away that sense of ability to feel a little privileged about what you're getting, because it's just there straight away now.
Yeah. And like these, the streaming platforms, right? Like they all, within their business model, they want to maximize their revenue. And so it's like they'll do these deals like get a family household subscription or whatever. And so the kids, as beneficiaries of that, they got their parents' credit card. They're not even paying the rental fee for the music that they're renting. And so it's like, how do you expect it to mean anything to them? Because then they're not consciously participating in any of the decisions along the process from creation to consumption. They're not making any choices in a sacrificial purchasing manner that would warrant it meaning anything to them. So like, how can you expect it to mean anything to them? Because what you don't pay for, it doesn't. You take it for granted, and it becomes more of an entitlement. And like, like you were talking about your memories, it's like all of those things build anticipation and expectation and kind of cultivate an environment that makes that listening process all the more special and all the more connected. And we don't have that nowadays. And so I think easy come, easy go, and what does it all really mean anymore?
I remember my dad, or me instructing my dad to take me to the CD store that used to be on High Street in Christchurch. I can't remember what it's called before. I went to class at Burnside High School just so I could get my favourite CD that was out. It had just been released, and there were people out the door to get the particular CD. I'm not going to tell you who the artist is because it's sort of embarrassing. And then I was delighted, but I had to make sure I quickly put the CD in my bag because I didn't want anybody to, bully me about my taste in music. But look, this has been an absolutely wonderful conversation, and I can't wait to see the exhibition. So give me the details. Remind the viewers when we can see this exhibition.
Yeah, on the 28th. So it'll open on Friday the 28th of this month at 6 p.m. There'll be some food and beverages there. Once again, it's free, and all it requires is your time and your attention. And I would love to see you there. Yeah. I'll be there. Chris will be there. I might say a little speech, and if I haven't met you, I'd love to meet you. And I appreciate your time, and thanks for having me. And I look forward to seeing you all on Friday the 28th of March.
Good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much.